Let me ask you something strange. Where does money actually come from? If you're like most people, you imagine a giant, high-security money printer tucked away in a government basement. You see green bills rolling off a press, being stamped into existence, and then shipped out to banks in armored trucks. And yes, physical currency exists. We use it to buy coffee or pay for parking. But here is the part almost nobody realizes. Physical cash is just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, less than 5% of the money in our modern economy actually exists as physical paper or coins. So, where is the other 95%? It's digital, but it wasn't just printed digitally by the government. It was created when someone, perhaps someone just like you, walked into a building and signed a piece of paper. Most money is created when someone goes into debt. That's not a metaphor. That's not a conspiracy theory. That is the mechanical reality of how our global financial system functions. Money is born at the exact moment a loan is issued. To understand your bank account, your mortgage, or the price of a gallon of milk, you first have to understand the debt engine. Imagine you walk into a bank and ask for a $100,000 loan to start a business or renovate your home. Most of us have been taught to believe that the bank goes into a heavy steel vault, finds $100,000 that other people deposited, and hands that existing money to you. That is not what happens. In a modern banking system, banks do something much simpler and far more powerful. They type numbers into a computer. When your loan is approved, the bank creates two things simultaneously out of thin air. An asset for the bank. Your written promise to pay them back with interest. A deposit for you. $100,000 that suddenly appears in your account balance. The bank didn't move that money from someone else. They expanded their balance sheet. This is a concept called fractional reserve banking. It means that for every dollar a bank holds in reserve, they can create several more through lending. Every time a loan is made, the total supply of money in the world grows. When you pay that loan back, that ledger money is uncreated. It disappears. Money expands with debt, and it contracts when debt is destroyed. Understanding this is the first big shift in realizing that money isn't a fixed resource. It's a dynamic, breathing pressure system. Now, think about the scale of this. Think about mortgages. When millions of people take out $400,000 loans to buy homes, that isn't just a transfer of existing cash from a buyer to a seller. That is trillions of dollars in brand new currency being breathed into the economy through the banking system. Multiply that by car loans, student loans, business expansions, credit cards. The entire global economy runs on the expansion of credit. If borrowing slows down, if people stop taking out loans, the money printer of the debt engine stalls. This is why you hear politicians and economists constantly talking about growth. Growth isn't just a fancy word for people working harder. It's a requirement for the system to survive. No new borrowing means no new money. And if no new money is being created, the existing money becomes heavy. It stops moving. You feel this as layoffs, recessions, and falling asset prices. The engine depends on constant forward motion. It is a machine that must either grow or collapse. It was never designed to sit still. Here is where the engine gets a bit darker. When the bank creates that $100,000 loan, they only create the principal. They type $100,000 into the screen. But they want you to pay back $105,000, the principal plus 5% interest. Think about that carefully. If the bank creates the $100,000, but they don't create the $5,000 needed for the interest, where does that extra money come from? It has to come from someone else's loan. The system creates a mathematical musical chairs. There is always more debt in the system than there is money to pay it off. This creates a permanent state of competition and a permanent requirement for more debt to be created tomorrow to pay off the interest of today. This is the pressure system. Central banks, like the Federal Reserve, act as the technicians for this machine. They adjust interest rates to control the speed of the engine. Lower rates make debt cheap, encouraging everyone to borrow and speed up the money creation. Higher rates make debt expensive, slowing down the engine to prevent it from overheating. Inflation. To simplify this, let's imagine an island with only 10 people and a single bank. There is zero money on the island. Farmer Joe goes to the bank and borrows $100 to buy seeds. The bank types $100 into Joe's account. Now, there is $100 in total circulation on the island. But the bank tells Joe he owes $110 back next year. Joe goes to work. He sells his crops to the other 9 people. But wait, there is only $100 in existence on the entire island. Even if Joe manages to collect every single dollar from every other person, he still only has $100. He is $10 short. The only way Joe can pay his debt is if the bank lends another $100 to someone else, say, the builder. Now there is $200 on the island, and Joe can earn his extra $10. But now the builder owes $110. The cycle never ends. The interest is a ghost that can only be chased by creating more debt. This is why our national debts and personal debts seem to grow forever. It's a feature of the software, not a bug. It isn't just about how much money exists. It's about how fast it moves. This is called the velocity of money. Imagine you have a $20 bill. You pay the barber. The barber uses that $20 to buy lunch. The restaurant owner uses that $20 to pay the delivery driver. In 1 hour, that single $20 bill has created $60 worth of economic activity. But if everyone gets scared and stops spending, the $20 stays in your pocket. The barber, the restaurant, and the driver all lose income. Even though the money still exists, the economy feels broke. This is why the debt engine is so sensitive. Debt forces velocity. Because you have a monthly payment, you must earn, and you must spend. Debt is the whip that keeps the money moving through the system. If the world went debt-free tomorrow, the velocity of money would crash, and the modern world, as we know it, would cease to function. Now, let's connect this to your house and your stock portfolio. When credit expands easily, meaning interest rates are low and banks are eager to lend, the money supply explodes. Where does all that new money go? It doesn't just sit in savings accounts. It looks for a home. It flows into assets. People use new debt to bid up the price of real estate. Investors use cheap credit to buy stocks. Businesses borrow to expand. When you see a housing boom, you aren't necessarily seeing houses become better or more valuable. Often, you are simply seeing the debt engine accelerating. More money is chasing a limited amount of land and shares. This is why wealth inequality widens during debt expansions. The people who own the assets see their net worth climb as the money supply grows. Meanwhile, the person who only earns a fixed salary, which doesn't grow as fast as the money supply, finds that their net income buys less and less every year. So, what is the takeaway? Money is not a fixed, golden resource sitting in a vault. It is a dynamic, digital promise. It is an expansion of credit. Understanding this changes how you look at everything. You stop asking, why are prices so high? And start asking, what is the debt engine doing? During expansion, you want to own assets that the new money will flow into. During contraction, you want to be careful, because when debt disappears, the money supply shrinks, and asset prices can crash. Debt is not evil, but it is powerful. It is the fuel that drives the modern world. It is a tool of leverage. It can accelerate your growth if you use it to buy assets, but it can accelerate your collapse if you use it to buy liabilities. The system isn't built on stacks of cash. It's built on promises. And once you understand the mechanics of those promises, you stop reacting emotionally to the news. You stop being a victim of the cycles and start becoming a student of the structure. If you want to keep breaking down how money really works, simply, clearly, and structurally, subscribe. Let's keep fixing the mechanics of your mind.